welcome everyone. It's great to see you all here. It's always a big night on our transition calendar, the iPad information evening, but to see so many families here supporting kids, supporting public education in the Wodonga community, it's extremely pleasing from our perspective to see you all here tonight. It's a big investment, the iPad. It's the tool that will support your child's learning for the next 3 years of their schooling. So we'll give you as much information as we can, and we will take some questions at the end and break up into smaller groups, and you can talk to staff if you need to. What sits behind the device and the purpose of being a one-to-one iPad school is we have a global learning management system, which is the company's desire to learn. The platform is Brightspace. Brightspace has a mission to reach every learner. Globally, it's in the top 2 LMSs that we use. All of our content is stored on LMS. A couple of people think that when they purchase the iPad, is that going to substitute everything? No. The iPad just complements the learning in the classroom. So our kids will continue to build on their writing skills that they've worked on through their primary years, and we continue to drive that in secondary and their middle year schooling. So the iPad will support it, but the expectation is that the kids will still turn up with their books, a binder that will hold their books, a pencil case, and an iPad. They're the three pieces of equipment that generally set the kid up organisationally to be successful. An example of our Year 7 English course, every course within our learning management system is set out consistently for ease of use for the kids. An example here of our Year 7 English course, that would be the landing page where teachers can communicate information with the students, and from there they can access their content, grades, drop boxes, discussions and quizzes. So most of the learning tools that we have sit on an online platform. The next step, when you're in content, you can see that term 1 will be set out. Here we've had narrative writing. There's a curriculum map there that will support the teachers. Students can also access that, and then they go through the different themes within that unit. If we unpack that, you can see at Year 9 it's a consistent layout, what the kids use. Our lesson structure is consistent with an essential question, learning intention, success criteria, and then working through a literacy strategy. Kids will be participating in quick writes, academic vocabulary, and so on throughout their years here. But the learning extends beyond the classroom with the iPad, so kids can access this at home, they can access it overseas. Our teachers that have recently been on leave, we interviewed one today that was able to mark kids' assessments while they've been on leave over in Europe. So, they're always informed. The learning doesn't finish now when the kid leaves that classroom door. There might be tasks they can do before they come into class. So it gives us a lot of flexibility with how we want to deliver our programs here. Again, we have discussion spaces within a lot of our courses for reflection, but also for collaboration. So instead of, we might mix it up rather than doing written reflections and summaries in classes. You can see one here versus formal versus informal writing. So they might create a post and then it's moderated by the teachers. The teachers can then, moderate posts for students to comment on other kids' posts. So it extends their thinking beyond their own with an online discussion tool. Dropbox is a really popular tool for assessments and feedback for students, and that goes across all learning areas. Students can upload work there, teachers can annotate over the work, they will mark rubrics, they'll provide kids with feedback, and we're working towards implementing and developing a platform where once feedback is made public, that parents will also get notifications on progress, so you won't have to wait to those end of term student-led conferences for that information. So it's a really exciting development that Desire to Learn's implemented. Desire to Learn, it's a global, it's a cloud-based program, so they're continually upgrading their services as we go, and we find that kids are very flexible and adaptive to upgrading as Desire to Learn continues to upgrade the program that it offers. Our quizzes tool provides teachers, there's a lot of pre and post testing that will happen to assess students' learning so we can deliver a program at their point of need. We see here, so we can get data down to a student level, we can get it to a cohort level. We also get data based on whole school level. So it really gives us quality information, good diagnostic assessment, so we continue to support your students through their learning journey. The drop box for the feedback and reflection goes across all learning areas, so it's not just specific to English or maths or humanities. Across all of our arts, tech and languages, kids are able to take photos of their final summative assessments or their formative assessments, depending on where they're up to, and then get immediate feedback. So it's a nice quick process for teachers to provide feedback. Students get notifications on their devices, they can go and access it, look at what they did well, look at what they need to improve. So it's a great tool for that. We do have acceptable use agreements that will come out in the enrolment pack, so we are an eSmart school. It's worth noting that you are, when we do invest in iPads, with great power also comes great responsibility, and it can't just be up to us as a school to make sure kids are always using the right iPads. We see families that are connected with their kids that have an invested interest, because you are handing them a gaming device as well. And it's important that you're in control and you know what your kid's doing online at all times. Any forms of social media are blocked on our school network, and if the kids try and go around it, we take them off the network and have conversations with the family. So while it's a really powerful learning tool that we've integrated into our classroom, we have eSmart policies that support our care values, but we need to make sure that as families and as parents, we have a really strong interest in what our kids are doing online and when. So I really want to make sure you take that message away, that it will support their learning. And the iPads, when they first came out in 2010, are almost obsolete now. The software that Design2Learn, we require kids to have the newest iPad because they continually upgrade what they deliver. But it's evolving at a rapid pace, and it's important as parents that we're invested and we stay on board, because kids can get caught up, kids can become addicted to gaming extremely quickly. So as a school, we manage it really well. We have eSmart boxes at the front of the classroom. They only come out to kids when the learning tasks are required. It's not with them all the time in the classroom, and it should be exactly the same at home. The iPad 7th generation is the new one. We're just going to watch a quick clip on it. It's an American clip, it's on the new iOS implementation, so typically American, there's lots of clapping, there's lots of cheering at the iOS launch, so I apologise for that, but it'll explain what the new iOS developments do on the iPad far better than what I can.
So let's take a look at iPad OS. Swipe home, and the first thing you notice is this tighter grid of icons, letting you have more tools at your disposal right on your home screen. But what I think is super cool is watch what happens when I swipe over. I can now pin my widgets right on my home screen. It's gorgeous, you get a lot of information at a glance. Well, let's turn to multitasking. I'm going to start with slide over. Launch into Safari. Let's just slide over from the right-hand side of the screen. You can see I have messages there right now. Now, I can, of course, change the app I have in Slide Over. I can just pick up reminders and drag it on over. Now I have reminders in Slide Over. So next time I slide out, of course, there's reminders. But what if I want to get back to that last app? Can we make that super easy? The answer is yes. I can just drag from the bottom, and they fan out just like that. With just a tap, I can switch apps. I can even just slide along the bottom to move quickly between my apps in Slide Over. It's really great. Now next, I'd like to talk about split view, because now we're bringing multi-window capability to apps on iPad. For instance, I have a single note right here in Notes, but what if I want to have two notes side by side? Well, now I can. I can tap, drag, and now I have a split with two notes. Now I can use this across spaces as well. So here I have two notes, but here I have a Pages document. What if I have some notes I want to use while working on my Pages document? Well, I'm just going to slide on over. I'll pick up another note, and I can just move back to my Pages space and drop it over there. Now I have Pages right next to Notes. Now that I have notes in all these different spaces, well, you can guess how I can find them, right? I just bring up the dock, tap on Notes, And we have App Expose now on iPad here. All my note spaces in one place. Now, this just doesn't work for system apps, also works for third-party apps as well. So in addition to notes here and pages, I can have 2 Microsoft Word documents side by side. I mean, that's enterprising right there. And it works great for some of the workflows in apps like mail. So for instance, let's say I want to reply to this message from Phil. Well, I can just, of course, start typing to Phil. And then I realize, I'd actually like to draw on some of my other contents in my inbox for this reply. Well, now I can drag that compose window off to the side into split view, even create a split so I can see all my messages. I can tap through these other messages. If I find an image I want to put to my message to Phil, just tap, drag it out just like that. And check this out. If there's a link I want to preview, just tap and hold. I get a preview of that web page. That looks perfect for Phil. Just drop it right in here, just like that. Better composing through multitasking on iPad. And that's a quick look at the new home screen and new multitasking in iPad OS. But there's a lot more. Let's start with files. Now, browsing in files, of course, you have icon view, list view. Well, how about column view? Great for digging through deep file hierarchies. You get a great file preview right here, and quick actions for things like rotating document images, making PDFs, and great rich metadata right at the bottom. Now we're also improving the way you can share files. For instance, in iCloud Drive, we now support folder sharing. And get this, we also have built-in support for SMB file sharing, so you can share from your work PC, home PC, right in the files. Now there's one more. That's right, you can now plug in a thumb drive. So thumb drives, external disk drives, and SD cards all show up right in the Files app. But now this one's really great too. Sometimes when you're working with a camera, you'd like to import directly into an app like Lightroom, and now you can. We're bringing desktop class browsing to Safari on iPad. Now with this, Safari does all the heavy lifting. So instead of the mobile site, you'll see the desktop site. It'll be sized perfectly for the iPad display and have automatically optimized for touch input. Now, this also works great for apps like Google Docs, Squarespace, and WordPress. They all work great in Safari now. And the desktop class experience doesn't stop there. We're also bringing a download manager to Safari. 30 new keyboard shortcuts, and much, much more. Next, we're taking a big leap forward in text editing, making it even faster with the power of multi-touch. So navigating long documents, you can now grab the scroll indicator and jump anywhere in the document instantly. Now, moving the cursor is easier than ever. Just pick it up and drag it where you want it to go. And selecting text, just put your finger down and drag out a selection. There's no need to double tap and no magnifying glass getting in your way. And when you have a selection, check this out. You want to copy or cut, just a 3-finger pinch to copy, a 3-finger spread to plop it right down. This works across all sorts of apps. And if you make a mistake, don't worry, just a 3-finger swipe to undo. No more shaking that iPad.
So there's some fairly excited people in that crowd. Hopefully there's some excitement. Right. So as you can see, even from the previous session that we did this time last year, a lot of the features on the new one, like you're quite fortunate, the new one's the first 10.2 inch screen, which is the first for the iPads, which is great. And there's lots of functions in there that the kids will pick up quite quickly and will be using in their classrooms. So we have an agreement with JB Hi-Fi. It's a non-binding one, but we encourage families through the JB Hi-Fi education portal to purchase the iPad through there. They provide the best deal. They get an education deal with Apple, which should give you the best price on the device. There's 2 recommended devices, and they're exactly the same except for the storage. That's what's different. So the one at the top's a 32 gig, the bottom one's 128. Now I can guarantee that if it's used for only school purposes, that the top one at 32 gigabytes is more than sufficient. If your child wants to use it as a camera to film themselves, their friends, and they're on it constantly, they want to put lots of games on it, you might want to consider the bigger one. But from experience and knowing teachers that here and principals that kids have gone through here, the 32 gigabyte one has plenty of enough storage in it. Okay. I won't list all the insurance options, but when you go to the portal, there's a number of options and they vary in price depending on what level of care you want to take out. So it's called Apple Care for iPads. The base package might cover an accidental damage, then it goes up to accidental like loss and accidental damage, and then you can pay a higher premium over the duration of the 3 years that will cover theft, loss and accidental damage. But the details are all on that site. I didn't want to unpack them all tonight, but because it's a personal preference and choice if you want to take that out. The base one is quite good. It will cover up to 2 incidental accidents for a service fee of $65, which you take it back to the JB Hi-Fi store in Albury and they manage all of it off-site. The portal looks like this. In their enter school code, WMYC, which is on the information you've been given, WMYC 2020, and quite simple to just, there's 3 or 4 clicks before you get to the checkout. What I will mention is one thing that's been really successful with our current Year 7s was for the first time we introduced a keyboard that goes with the iPad. We think it's an important skill that our kids are also learning to type. When they transition to the senior college, they'll go with a more compact, a laptop that supports their learning up there. So it's important our kids go with some typing skills. So the new cover is not available yet through the education portal, but I've spoken to JB Hi-Fi. What they're going to do is when you purchase your iPad through that, they'll get your email details. They'll then email you directly when the keyboards are in stock. The keyboards also act as a protective cover, which is essential. They can be reckless with the way they're handled, just with the nature and the age of the kids. I strongly recommend you wait till you put the cover on it before you hand it over. Okay. The question was, can we go with a laptop or can we get the iPad? It is a BYOD, bring your own device program. Why we've gone with an iPad as opposed to a laptop is because of the functionality and the nature of our assessments with the kids. When we have our kids in a phys ed class filming skill development, it's a lot easier to do with a portable device like an iPad. It's very difficult to hold the laptop and try and capture the same image with the same quality. A lot of our assessments are based around like using iMovie and different sorts of programs, which you can use if you've got a Mac, but for 7 to 9, we're trying to give our kids that dynamic, engaging experience. It suits the learning tasks that we offer.
Any ideas, Steve, what the keyboard cover would cost?
The last one was a Logitech, and I think it was about $90 on top, between $90 and $110.
Yeah.
And I think it's just the newer version of that, which is a little bit more robust than the previous one. So yeah, they'll be out shortly.
Any idea on how often we're going to have to upgrade the iPad to a dual model?
You won't have to do it for the 3 years that you're here. So Desire to Learn and their software will generally stay on pace with iOS and their upgrades as well. So yeah, it'll be like an iPhone. You'll have to upgrade software as you go to eliminate bugs and things like that, and complement the new software that iOS will release. But the device itself, if it's looked after, it's got a solid keyboard case on it. Most of our kids see it through the life of the 3 years, provided they take reasonable care of it and they don't sling it off their shoulders when they get home from school.
I noticed the 2 options are just Wi-Fi based on GG, not what kids having ones that have got the SIM cards in as well.
That's a question that's well beyond my technical understanding.
We didn't hear the question.
The 2 up there, Ricky, are Wi-Fi based ones.
Yeah. I was just asking, is there any restriction if you get the model that goes up that has its own SIM card, so if the kids are using it off site with Wi-Fi, they can connect using a digital SIM?
There's no restriction, but we would recommend kids have their own, because that way they can then access all the social media that we lock on our network.
Yeah.
Sorry, I can't hear what you're
So we're asking about whether you have cellular data, like via an iPad, and we said no, we recommend it, because then kids can access all the social media platforms that we lock on our network.
Good question. No, thanks for bringing that up. So we encourage kids to use our local network as opposed to tap into their home data or have their own data plans. That's when it's really difficult for us to manage what they're doing in lunchtimes, breaks, maybe in certain classes. So that's how you order. You go to the site. There's 8 steps to follow, and they'll really look after you. We haven't had any issues. We went through the same process last year. Majority of our families purchased through the JB Hi-Fi portal. We didn't get any negative feedback. So they do run a really good program at a good price that looks after us. So I get no endorsement from them either. We're just successful, it works, and it's a nice smooth transition. I can open the floor up for questions. No guarantees we'll have all the answers before I hand back to Sarah. Yep.
Do they need it for the start of Head Start week, or do they need it for the start of next year?
Okay, so the question was, do they need it for Head Start, which is in week 10? No, they don't. We'll make adaptations to our curriculum so the kids still have a good experience here, but hold off until the start of the new year for the iPads, because that'll give our technicians time to get them set up on the system, set up their email accounts, set up their Office 365 accounts and so on. So there will be no need for Head Start.
Just one thing on Office 365, so is that something that's provided with the iPad?
Yeah, for every kid in public school, like government, you can get it free.
Okay, so we don't need to go and purchase anything.
So the Microsoft Suite will come for free, which is great. All right, I'll hand back to Sarah. If there's any burning questions that come through between now and when you leave, there's a few of us here that'll be able to help you out. And thanks for coming along. It's great to see you.
Thanks, Steve. Tonight, we've just got a couple more slides that I wanted to draw everyone's attention to of our timeline for transition. We've sent out an email in the last week of Term 3, and this week we sent out another reminder. We're pulling those email addresses from the enrolment packs that we've had handed in. If we haven't had an enrolment pack, we've had cases data rolled over from the primary school. So if you haven't received an email from us as yet, then you need to make sure that you see me before the end of tonight and you get the correct email address so we can get this information out to you. We'll be sending out monthly updates between now and the start of next year and before Head Start, so we make sure every student knows what they need to have sorted to come here in Year 7. So we've got I wanted to draw attention to our Small Schools Day, that the schools here that are listed, they're the schools that attend the Small Schools Day and our Koori students. So the big primaries in town don't attend this day. they attend Head Start. So the idea of the Small Schools Day is for a kid that's been out at Yak and there's only 3 or 4 kids coming from Yak Primary, they get to come in, they have a soft fall, I suppose, in a big school where they've been in a small school, and then they'll come to Head Start as well. So don't feel like if your students attending the big primaries that they're missing out. That's just an extra support to get those kids in. The students that attend the Small Schools Day still attend Head Start. So they come in on the Wednesday of week 9, and then week 10 they come in again for Head Start. And then the other thing that I wanted to draw our attention to tonight is the camps week. Next year, week 8, term 1, those camps are live now, so you can book your student in. So if you haven't booked in a camp or an activity for that week, now's the time to get on board and pick those that program. If you're not sure about it, come and see one of our staff members and we can take you through it. Important reminder, enrolment packs. Our office staff are fretting a little bit because there are a number of grade 6 students that haven't returned their enrolment packs. Before we can have the student in Head Start, we need that enrolment information. So we need to know that there's who the contact is if the student's sick or if they hurt themselves. We need some basic information there and to have you legally on our system. So this is really important. If you haven't handed your enrolment packs in, just drop them back. There's sent out with the return envelope, so either send them or drop them into one of our offices. So this is our college communication, which I touched on a little bit before. If you haven't already and you're a new family to middle years, like our Facebook page. Our website and Facebook page will have all regular updates. It also has great information of what our current students have been doing. So if you're a family coming to middle years, it's a great place to start looking and showing your child all the wonderful things that they can be doing at middle years to get them comfortable with their schooling here next year. And I've spoken about the email list, and that's everything. So like we said at the start of the evening, we're really proud that you've chosen middle years as your choice of education for your child. We value that, and we want to welcome you into our family of middle years. So our staff here are hanging around and can talk to you and answer questions. We've got a little bit of food here, healthy food. We've made a priority we're a healthy food school. So we've got some nibblies, and yeah, come around and have a chat to us, introduce yourself and mingle. Thank you.